An exasperated mother, whose son, little Johnny, was always getting into mischief, finally asked him, "How do you expect to get into heaven?" The young boy thought it over and said, "Well, I'll run in and out and keep slamming those pearly gates until finally St. Peter says, 'For heaven's sake, Johnny, come in or stay out.'" The teacher asked little Jimmy who discovered America. He replied, "It wasn't me." The teacher asked him again, "Who discovered America?" He once again replied, "It wasn't me." One last time the teacher asked him. And again he replied, now a little louder, "I swear to God, it wasn't me." The teacher had enough and called little Jimmy's father. "I asked him who discovered America," the teacher said. And his response was, "It wasn't me." "Well," his father said, "maybe it really wasn't him." A couple, both age 17, went to a therapist's office. The doctor asked, "What can I do for you?" The man said, "Will you watch us have love?" The doctor looked puzzled, but agreed. When the couple finished, the doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with the way you have love," and charged them $50. This happened several weeks in a row. The couple would make an appointment, have love with no problems, pay the doctor, then leave. Finally, the doctor asked, "Just exactly what are you trying to find out?" "We're not trying to find out anything," the husband replied. "She's married and we can't go to her house. I'm married and we can't go to my house. The Holiday Inn charges $90. The Hilton charges $108. We do it here for $50 and I get $40 back from Medicare." A mother, deeply concerned about her son's troublesome behavior, decides to seek advice from a psychiatrist. She pours out her worries, describing how her son's antics are driving her to the brink of exhaustion. The psychiatrist listens patiently and then suggests, "It sounds like you're extremely stressed. I think it would be helpful for you to take tranquilizers regularly to help you calm down." A few weeks later, the mother returns to the psychiatrist's office for a follow-up visit. The psychiatrist asks, "Have the tranquilizers been helping you feel more relaxed and less anxious?" The mother responds with a calm smile, "Oh yes, they have made a big difference. I've been much more at ease." The psychiatrist, feeling hopeful, then asks, "And how is your son doing now? Have things improved with him?" The mother, still calm, looks at the psychiatrist and says with a shrug, "Honestly, who cares?" On the first day of college, the dean addressed the students, pointing out some of the rules. The female dormitory will be out of bounds for all male students, and the male dormitory to the female students. Anybody caught breaking this rule will be fined $20 the first time. He continued, "Anybody caught breaking this rule the second time will be fined $60. Being caught a third time will incur a hefty fine of $180. Are there any questions?" At this point, a male student in the crowd inquired, "How much for a season pass?" A teenage monk joins a monastery and is told the rules, which basically consist of this: silence at all times, except every 20 years you are allowed to appear before the head monk and speak 2 words. In his enthusiasm, he agrees. 20 years pass. A little disillusioned, he appears before the head monk, the same one who hired him. "Speak your 2 words, says the head monk. "No heat," says the still young monk. The head monk nods. The meeting is over. 20 more years pass. The head monk, now very aged, receives the not-so-young monk again, who now appears upset. "Bad food," says the middle-aged monk. The head monk nods. The meeting is over. 20 more years pass. The old monk has died to be replaced by a younger head monk. The once teenage monk, now himself nearing an old man, appears before the head monk. "I quit," he says. "So be it. I'm told you complain too much anyway." My wife Judy had been reminding me repeatedly to varnish the wooden toilet seat in our bathroom. I kept putting it off, as husbands sometimes do, until one day, While she was out running errands, I finally decided to surprise her and get the job done. I carefully applied the varnish, felt quite pleased with myself, and then left the house to run an errand, assuming the seat would have plenty of time to dry. Turns out, I was very wrong. Judy came home, got undressed to take a shower, and, unaware of my earlier handiwork, sat down on the freshly varnished toilet seat. When she tried to stand back up, she discovered the varnish hadn't dried completely. She was stuck. By the time I got home, she was in full crisis mode. We tried everything, pushing, pulling, even a bit of twisting, but it was no use. In the end, I had to unscrew the entire toilet seat and take it off with Judy still attached. Wrapped in a bedsheet, for dignity, she and I made a rather awkward trip to the hospital emergency room, toilet seat and all. Once there, the ER doctor managed to help her into a position where he could assess the situation. It was, needless to say, not one of our finest or most elegant moments. Trying to lighten the mood, Judy gave a sheepish smile and said, "Well, doctor, I bet you've never seen anything like this before." Without missing a beat, the doctor grinned and replied, "Oh, I've seen this before, but never one so perfectly mounted and framed." Sally, a blonde, goes on her first camping trip. Her husband, who was a scout leader, was sick, so she volunteered to take over for him for the weekend. She got everyone together and assigned different duties to each scout. Gabby was responsible for the food supplies. Mike would be the cook this trip. Johnny was responsible for their maps and making up a time schedule. Tim was to decide on their events and to fit them into Johnny's schedule, and Sally would test all their equipment before setting out. They arrived at Big Moose Mountain and everyone was excited. They arrived right on schedule and were getting ready for their first event, hiking up the mountain, but first they wanted to get something to eat. So Sally asked Mike if he would prepare the meal, and of course, Mike said he would. About 10 minutes later, he came back and told Sally, "I can't make supper. I can't light a fire with the matches you brought." Sally replied, "I can't understand that. Those matches should be perfectly fine. I tested them all just before we left." A man was driving along a country road when he looked out his window and saw a chicken was running alongside his car. The man checked his speed and saw he was going 30 mph. He thought, "Am I crazy? Or is this chicken keeping pace with me at 30 mph? So he sped up to 40 mph. To his surprise, the chicken kept running right next to his car. "This can't be right," the man thought. "No chicken can run this fast." So he sped up to 50 mph. The chicken, amazingly, kept pace with his car. The man looked closely at the chicken, and he saw it had 3 legs. A 3-legged chicken running 5 miles per hour. Am I dreaming? How can this be real? So the man sped up to 60 mph. The chicken also sped up, keeping pace with his car. Then, to the man's astonishment, the chicken passed his car, ran a few yards ahead, then suddenly turned hard left down another road without slowing down. The man hit the brakes and turned down the road to follow the chicken, but the chicken was out of sight. A little way down the road, the man saw a farmer out to get his mail. The man stopped next to the farmer and said, "Hey, did you just see a 3-legged chicken come tearing down this road at 60 miles per hour?" The farmer looked at the man and said, "Yup, I saw him. He was one of mine." "One of yours?" asked the man incredulously. "Yup," said the farmer. "You see, I raised 3-legged chickens. I like to eat the drumstick. My wife likes to eat the drumstick. And now our little boy likes to eat the drumstick. I got tired of us fighting over them and decided to use some selective breeding until I got 3-legged chickens." "What the heck? That's amazing," said the man. "So how do they taste?" "Well," said the farmer, "I don't know. I've never been able to catch one." A mortician was working late one night. It was his job to examine the dead bodies before they were sent off to be buried or cremated. As he examined the body of Mr. Sam, who was about to be cremated, he made an amazing discovery. Sam had the longest private part he had ever seen. "I'm sorry, Mr. Sam," said the mortician, "but I can't send you off to be cremated with a tremendously huge private part like this. It has to be saved for posterity." And with that, the coroner used his tools to remove the dead man's distinguishing member. The coroner stuffed his prize into a briefcase and took it home. The first person he showed was his wife. "I have something to show you that you won't believe," he said, and opened his briefcase. "Oh my God," she screamed. "Sam is dead!"